Welcome to the City of Sausalito's OpenGov Financial Transparency Platform. This video gives an overview of the tool, a fun and accessible way of seeing how the city spends and receives money. Let's take a tour of the site. It opens up showing a report called Annual Balance Sheets. All of the available reports are listed here on the left-hand side of the screen, just below the City of Sausalito logo. The highlighted report is the current report, and these are the other options. Let's click on the Budget to Actual report. This report shows actual expense data for the current fiscal year through the most recent month, and it compares it with the budget. Sausalito's financial year starts in July, so that's the first month, and then all of these solid bars show Sausalito's actual data being added cumulatively all the way through to the most recent month, and that can be compared with the budget data, which is shown here and shaded. On the right-hand side of the screen is a legend, and this shows a list of all of the segments in the chart, with the colours matching the corresponding section of each bar. So, for example, in the chart shown here, salaries are represented in the dark green. If you hover over the Salaries label, it will show the salary information for all of the bars in the chart. And going down through the list, you can pick out benefits information, operations, professional services, etc. Similarly, if you hover over any segment in the chart, it will show the information for that segment. So, for example, here we have salaries for March, benefits for January, or professional services in November. On the left-hand side of the screen is a section called Views. This shows some views of the data that we saved because we thought you might find them useful. They're the equivalent of FAQ views. These saved views act like bookmarks in a report, and if you click on them, the information will update automatically. Let's take a look at revenues. The saved view shows revenue information for the city, and it's being compared for the most recent month, year over year. Throughout the site, the charts are very interactive, so if you click on any of the segments, either in the bar itself or on the label on the right-hand side, you can drill down further into the data. So, for example, clicking into Taxes shows the components of tax revenue, including property tax, sales tax, the half-cent sales tax, and TOT, or transient occupancy tax. Scrolling down below the chart, you can see the actual numbers behind all of this data. So, if, for example, you want to have a look at property tax for fiscal year 2021, scroll all the way to the right. This shows you the more recent data, and you can see that for the year 2021, all the way through till March, the city received $3,905,000 in property tax, and this matches the number shown here in the chart. There's also the option to drill down even further into the data and to see the actual transactions underlying them. You can do this by clicking on the Transactions box to the right of the Summary Table box. So clicking on the Transactions box, you can see that now there's a lot more information and detail about the supporting data for each of these categories. If at any stage you would like to go back to the previous screen, simply scroll up to the top of the report and click the Back button, which is located underneath the title of the report. If you would like to go back to the chart's default state, to start over as it were, you can press the Reset button. Let's take a look at one of the other saved views. Many of the views show data for a department. Let's take a look at the data for the administration department. This view shows expense data for the administration department, and the expenses are being compared for the most recent month, year over year. All of the features and breakdowns will work in the same way as before, with the segments representing salaries, benefits, operations, professional services, etc. There are 5 different ways of displaying the data in graphic form, and you can change the type of graph at any time. The options are shown here on the right-hand side of the graph. We're currently viewing the data as a bar chart, and this allows us to compare trends and percentage breakdown over time. Other options include a percentage graph, which shows each segment's share of the total over time, a stacked graph, which allows you to see overall trends over time, a line graph. This one, you can follow the trend for each independent segment, or a pie graph. This one will show you the percentage breakdown by year, and if you wish to look at the same information but for a different year, simply scroll down to this slider underneath the chart and you move it to the year that you'd like to look at. So we've talked about the saved views of a report. To the left of views, there's an option to click on filters. Clicking on filters opens up a separate panel, and this panel gives us the opportunity to analyze data using a number of different criteria. First of all, if you look at the box underneath Show, there's a drop-down menu which gives you the option to look at the data by expenses, or by revenues, or by revenues versus expenses. Underneath this box, there's a further option to break down the data, this time by funds, departments, or expense type. So for example, if we click on funds, the chart shows expenses broken out by funds. And if we look all the way over on the right-hand side, we can see Sausalito's fund categories: general fund, special revenue funds, debt service funds, capital projects, or enterprise funds, etc. We can drill down even further into the data, adding more filters, by clicking into the Filtered By section. So if, for example, we were to click on Funds, we have the option of selecting which fund we want to look at. Say we want to look at items in the general fund, and we would like to look at a particular expense type. Maybe we'd like to have a look at equipment rental. Simply start typing into the bar at the top, the search bar here, and you can see the options that appear below. Choose equipment rental, click out of the panel, and there you have your information. You can also toggle between different years by clicking into the fiscal year drop-down box. Scrolling further down in the filter section, you can see that we've added links to the annual financial report and the budget book. If you'd like to download or share the data that you're looking at, simply click on the Share button, which is located on the top right of your screen. There you have the option to share the link of a report on a variety of social media, or you could download an image of the report, or even the actual data in the form of a spreadsheet. The best way of exploring how to use this tool is to have fun. You can't break it, you're simply slicing and dicing the data so that you can look at it however you find interesting. If you pressed on something and you don't know how you got there, or you simply want to start over and look at something else, remember you can always press on the back button, which will take you back one screen, or the reset button, which will take you back to the home screen for the report that you're viewing. Thanks very much, and have fun.